Hello from Becky and me. Welcome to a brand new week here on Anglia Tonight.
First, a Fenland community has been left devastated after a suspected arson attack destroyed their historic village church.
The fire at St Mary's in Westry near March was discovered just after 10 o'clock this morning.
Crews from all over Cambridgeshire went to the scene, but there was little they could do to halt the devastation. Our reporter Stuart Leeds is in Westry and he joins us now. Stuart, a heartbreaking scene for the community there.
Yes, Becky, it certainly is, and a fence is now being put up around the church here to stop anyone from getting too close because the building has been declared unsafe. But when the fire was at its height this morning, when it was discovered by a parishioner, I understand he actually had to be held back by a passerby because he was trying to gain access to the burning building to rescue a cross and a Bible that were on fire inside. What was a popular Fenland church is now just an empty shell, destroyed by the fierce blaze that swept through St Mary's at Westry near March this morning. The 130-year-old building severely damaged by the flames in what is being described as a suspicious fire.
You need to be a sick person in a way to be doing something like that to any building, let alone a church building, and so it's sadness for that. It's a busy church. You'll always get 50 people here on a Sunday. And as you know, last Sunday was Mothering Sunday, and we had 70 or 80 people there, and it's a very happy occasion. So you go from happiness one day to sadness the next.
Inside, the church has been gutted. The pews are just a series of charred embers, and there's also not much left of the church's pulpit.
At the time, obviously, it was horrendous to see anything burning, but to see flames pouring out the church, especially the far end of the church, you know, it was just appalling. Words fail you, really.
7 fire crews were sent to the scene and they were able to bring the blaze under control. The A141, which runs past the church, was closed while the fire raged. Roof tiles now litter the graveyard, and the fire has made the building structurally unsound.
We've been called in. We've got to take the bell tower down and the rest of the steeple and all of the roof structure, just to make the rest of the building structural and sound enough to retain. Most of the stonework above the roof level, bottom of the roof level, all of that stonework will stay. Everything above will come down. And then the remainder of the stonework will be where it is.
This afternoon, fire investigators have been examining the scene, and it will be their job to determine whether the blaze which ripped through this church was the work of arsonists.
Well, it's absolutely devastating there, Stuart. We can see the line which has been put around the church now. In terms of whether it can be rebuilt, what's the news on that?
Well, Jonathan, as you heard there, the engineer was saying that the bell tower and the gable end and the roof will probably have to come down, but I believe the rest of the structure of the church is fairly sound, and I get the sense here that the community will rally round to make sure that this church is rebuilt. And in the meantime, I'm told services can be held in the church hall nearby. So I certainly don't think that this is the end for St Mary's Church.
Let's hope not. Stuart, thank you very much indeed for that. Now, moving on to other news, and a judge has condemned the parents of a boy from Kettering in Northamptonshire for blackmailing a teacher who was abusing their son instead of reporting him to the police.
The shocking case only came to light when indecent images were discovered on a computer belonging to paedophile Gerard Raffel. Claire McGlasson has the full story.
The victim was a frightened 4-year-old boy. His abuser, a trusted teacher. But when a couple from Kettering in Northamptonshire discovered their son had been targeted by paedophile Gerard Raffel, they didn't report him to the police. Instead, they demanded that he buy their silence. The abuse started in 2004 and happened repeatedly, continuing until 2005 when the parents found out. They insisted Raffel move away, leave his job, and give them £18,000 for a deposit on a new home. It was 4 years later that the truth finally came out. Police found 50 indecent images on Raffel's computer after the boy told other people what had happened.
The fact that this young boy did disclose after 4 long years must show that he was carrying around something unbearable that he needed to disclose, and because of the processes that didn't take place, he didn't have a safe way to do that.
At Northampton Crown Court, Rafael pleaded guilty to 4 counts of causing or inciting a child under 13 to take part in sexual activity. But he was spared jail because he'd already been on remand for 6 months. Sentencing him to a 3-year community treatment programme, Judge Ian Alexander said, "You were bought off by the child's parents. That was reprehensible behaviour on their part, but you complied with that position."
They were doing something that, well, like that, I just report them without hesitation.
They shouldn't be allowed to be parents, really, to do something like that.
The parents need locking away, but whatever happens, the court won't do a decent decision because they don't do any decent decision.
Rafael has been placed on the sex offenders register for 10 years and banned from ever working with children. No charges have been brought against the victim's parents. Claire McGlasson, Anglia News, Northampton.
Well, next, fresh plans to safeguard our coastline from the ravages of the sea.
The new proposals for South Suffolk and Essex look at the way the coast there will change over the next century and what might have to be surrendered to the waves. Victoria Webb reports.
For more than 100 years, golfers have tackled the ever-changing sea breeze on this course at Frinton. Little's changed from this footage in 1959. The course is on low land with tidal ditches across many fairways. Its close proximity to the water, though, could mean that in another 50 years' time, it's no longer here.
At Holland Haven, in the 50 to 100 year time frame, we do expect that it will be technically challenging and financially very, very expensive to continue to protect that particular frontage.
With increasing pressure on our defences from rising sea levels, much of our coast is under threat. The new plan for South Suffolk and Essex lays out how the coastline will be managed over the next century. It starts at Landguard Point in Suffolk and stretches to the Thames. Major settlements like Felixstowe, Ipswich and Harwich will always be protected. But as we've heard, Holland Haven Country Park and Frinton Golf Club could be sacrificed in 50 years, although the resorts of Frinton, Walton and Clacton would be safe. At Jaywick, the seawall will be maintained for the next 35 years, but any new homes would have to be built away from the area most at risk from flooding.
You've got the seawall, you've got all the beach huts in Frinton that are further forward than we are. There's got to be many, many years of destruction before the sea ever gets near us.
The plan, which is open to public consultation until the 18th of June, doesn't only tackle the actual coastline, but also places on estuaries and rivers like Pinmill on the Orwell. It warns the marina there is at risk of erosion. In coastal towns like Frinton-on-Sea, Walton-on-the-Naze and Clacton-on-Sea, where they rely on tourism and the seafront is obviously crucial to that, the Environment Agency says it will do all it can to hold the shoreline. There are similar shore management plans all round our coast, tackling erosion hotspots such as Hadesborough in Norfolk and Eastern Bavance in North Suffolk. In the last 2 years, the Environment Agency has spent £20 million on sea defences in Felixstowe and Jaywick. While investments will continue in the short term, they need to decide where the money will be best spent in the future. Victoria Webb, Anglia News, Frinton-on-Sea.
The ever-changing face of our coastline there.
And you'll have seen a glimpse of Frinton as it used to be in that report.
Yep, a clip from a report by Bob Wellings, no less, shot in 1959 when Anglia had just begun. And if you'd like to see the whole of that report then, you can. It's on our website at itv.com/Anglia.